media, you can see now. Abba.
I don't know.
You see me now. You see me with everything.
By hanging your ID card or what?
Oh, can you not see trap? You are not seeing this.
Everybody is phone here.
I like back where you like go to Pami.
Please, for most of our eminent personalities are taking the center stages. Please do not go. We have some takeaway parts for you.
Thank you.
Wọ́n ti bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n ní pé wọ́n fẹ́ kí àjọṣepọ̀ tó dánmọ́rán kó wà láàrin gbogbo àwọn tó ń ṣètò ààbò nílùú Ogun State. Ìpínlẹ̀ Ogun State ní aṣíwájú ni tí ẹ bá wo ìpínlẹ̀ Ogun ẹ rí pé obìnrin àkọ́kọ́ tó máa wa mọ́tò ìpínlẹ̀ Ogun ló ti wá. Ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì àkọ́kọ́ ní Nàìjíríà ìpínlẹ̀ Ogun ló wà, Abẹ́òkúta pàápàá ló wà. Tí ẹ bá wo Bíbélì àkọ́kọ́ fún àwọn tó jẹ́ ẹlẹ́sìn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì, tí ẹ bá yé àfihàn bàbá wa láti Ògbẹ́gbàlà ẹ̀rí Bíbélì àkọ́kọ́ bẹ̀. Ìwé ìròyìn àkọ́kọ́ nínú Nàìjíríà Abẹ́òkúta ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Kí ló wá dé tí ètò ààbò tí ó péye tí ò ní gbómọ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn? Aṣíwájú ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn jẹ́ wípé láíláí fún àbàdà ètò ààbò kò ní mẹ́rin ní ìpínlẹ̀ yìí. Nítorí náà ni wọ́n ṣe gbé ètò yìí kalẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn àjọ aláàbò. Tí ẹ bá wò ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn wọ́n ní gateway to industrialization, gateway to prosperity, gateway to security, tax security. Wọ́n wà káàkiri ìpínlẹ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n fún wọn ní àǹfààní, wọ́n dẹ̀ fún wọn ní àwọn ohun tí wọ́n nílò láti ṣiṣẹ́. Ìkan lára ẹ̀ náà ní orílẹ̀-èdè. Ọ̀rọ̀ tá a máa gbọ́ nílẹ̀ ní àti àwọn tí a máa múlò nílẹ̀ ní, ó dá mi lójú wípé ó máa lọ fà bí àṣà àwọn òde òní. Wọ́n ní ó lọ fà. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ lábínẹ́ẹ̀tì nìkan, àdífihàn nìkan, lábínẹ́ẹ̀tì nìkan, àdífihàn nìkan, àdípé àwọn ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò bíi wípé a ti ṣe ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nìkan bí kò ṣe wípé a máa mú gbogbo nǹkan tí a kọ́ níbi ìbáyìí a máa mú lò. Àwọn tó lè máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n máa ṣe ìlanilọ́yẹ̀ nídìílé ní àwọn tí wọ́n ti wà lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ yìí tí ò ń ṣe àná tí ò ń ṣe ìjẹta ni nítorí náà níbí ilé ní ó dá mi lójú wípé ohun tí a máa mú lọ sílé ó ju owó lọ a ní ètò ààbò tí everybody ní security is everyone's business am I right? Thank you very much. Tí a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ààbò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn tàbí nínú Nàìjíríà ẹlòmíì á wò pé ọlọ́pàá nìkan àbí àwọn vigilante nìkan àbí àwọn social nìkan ètò ààbò ó jẹ́ nǹkan tí àwọn olóyìnbó ní ó wà all encompassing nítorí náà la ṣe ní Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps trace níbi ètò ààbò náà ní ètò ojú gbogbo ètò ààbò náà ní kí gbogbo nǹkan kó lọ bó ṣe yẹ kó lọ lójú títì nígbà tí èèyàn bá wa mọ́tò under the influence of alcohol ṣé ó dáàbò bo ara ẹ̀ kò dáàbò bo ara ẹ̀ kò dẹ̀ dáàbò bo àwọn tó wà ojú òpópónà náà nítorí náà ẹni tí ó ṣojú fún ọ̀gá àgbà trace ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn Commander Abiola David Olúfẹ́mi wọ́n wà pẹ̀lú wa ní ẹ̀ka àbọ̀ sórí ètò yìí. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to specially invite to this side of the auditorium the Senior Special Assistant and a consultant, the Senior Special Advisor and a consultant to His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun, MFR, CP, Edward Awolowo Ajobo retired for the remark of His Excellency, Your Excellency.
Distinguished members of the high table, in particular, my highly cerebral, ever respected, retired AIG, Kimihon. Pretty close to him too. Another very cerebral individual, the chairman of the Ogun State BCRC, Dr. Kogo. We have an academic with us, a guru-in-law, and my brother from Edo State, Dr. Shok. I'm seeing your face for the first time. I will see you on television. Then the PRO and our Mr. Joe. Okay, it's a pleasure to have our host. Let me say good morning to everybody, and my high respects and regards to your CP for joining hands with the Vigilant, Nigeria Vigilant Group, or the Vigilant Group of Nigeria Vigilant Group. So, my remarks are to remind you, first and foremost, of what you are doing and how individually, collectively, and with other agencies, you can do better. Whatever you are doing now, just know that it is policing you are doing. Am I right? It is policing. You are providing security, either to private individual or when we have a public function, you are also involved in providing security. What you are doing therefore has to do with security. And we should have an understanding of what that security is. It means that we are joining hands with other established agencies to prevent the citizens of the state from being exposed to danger or harm or whatever it is, to minimize their risk in doing their business. Let's put it that way. But how can you do it better? It's for you to understand what your job description is vis-a-vis other agencies, in particular the Nigeria police. The way I see the vigilante group is that you are like a private security organization that fills the space that the Nigeria police, right, are unable to cover. But you must have at the back of your mind that worldwide, as far as internal security management is concerned and the structure and organization, the police worldwide is the hub around which all security agencies, including national, sub-national, the non-state actors that the way I look at you, the police is the hub around which all security activities and operations revolve. Therefore, I see you as a private, like I said, private organization filling the gaps that the police cannot in the provision of security. And how can you do it better? It is by way of cooperation and collaboration. Because policing sometimes is not only about your physical presence or what you are doing, it's about more about that the preventive side now. It is more about problem solving. If it is about problem solving, how do the police worldwide go about problem solving? So that you can understand where you should come in. There are preventive measures, either through patrol, right? Investigation of cases, that is the reactive one. Then patrols, then posting guards to key and vulnerable areas. So for where the police has, for instance, where the police becomes inadequate, then you come in. But like I said, in private capacity. So what do you do? And I think that is what we are here to learn. That one, if you are acting in that private capacity, what it means, for instance, now, if you arrest, say, an armed robber, what do? You have to immediately hand, the law says you immediately hand him over to the police. The law says you have to immediately hand him over to the police. The law also says the nearest police station, not just to the police, the nearest, so that you can be fast about doing it. So I will not accept, for instance, now that you commence investigation before you hand over such case to the police. But then your assistance in ensuring that police carry out detailed investigation will be very, very important. Now, I also expect that as part of our problem-solving approach, we, the police, are always proactive. And indeed, proactive means that intelligence is very, very important to them. Information is important to them. Intelligence is the processed information. Right? So I will not say, for instance, now, if you have information, it will not help us to process. I know that, for instance, armed robbers are coming to this place. Depending on whether you have the capacity to be able to arrest them. If you do not have that capacity, it means that that information you have to immediately release it to the police. But if you do, then you can process that information to intelligence to enable you effectively act. So what am I saying by this? There is a need for you not to hold back the information you have to the police. You must share the information, you must share intelligence. And where the police now believe and think that, they have to cooperate with the vigilantes to carry out the operations in respect of the information or intelligence that shared to them, please, your cooperation is required. And two, like I said, what you are doing is policing. What it means is that you must respect, you must act within the boundaries of law. The rule of law is not the rule of man. The rule of law is not the rule of man. It is basically and essentially the rule of law. Therefore, in dealing with the citizens, in your assistance in providing security, I want you to respect the human rights of the citizens. And that is the reason why the law says in a private capacity, if you arrest, hand them over to the police. You don't need to touch them. Please don't touch them. You don't need to over-detain or even, yes, to over-detain suspects. Wherever you arrested them. I don't even expect that, like if I'm to suggest that it will maintain sense. Since the law says you should immediately hand over. So, respect the rights of citizens. Ensure that what we call procedural justice. You are fair to everybody. The procedures you are following is not the one that will harm the citizen. It is the one that will rather assist and boost the enjoyment of their fundamental rights. So that is it. And please, there's no room for rivalry at all. There's no room for rivalry between you and the primary agency of law enforcement, and that is the police. There's no room for rivalry. Because the police also appreciate the fact that, yes, they cannot be everywhere. They try as much as possible to be ubiquitous. That is to say, they spread their paraphernalia even to village posts. But even at the village post, how many policemen at the village post now? So that is where you come in. That is where Joseph come in and others. So please respect this structure. And once you respect this structure, you will discover that there is no reason at all for rivalry. After us, what are we all doing? There's no profit to be done. We are all working towards a better society, a more secure society, where you and I can do business without being harmed, where investors, as we are experiencing in Ogun State now, will be attracted to the state because of not only the perception, because of the existence of peace and security in the state. So I hope that we are going to attentively listen to this well-selected, very rare opportunity. You have very rare opportunity to one have to be exposed to a bevy of intellectuals that you have today. So I want you to make notes. I want you to make notes as you are here, because you may never, for a very long time, have this privilege. So once again, on behalf of the state government, I want to thank the organizers and to remember that you are playing an essential role in ensuring security of the state. But in doing that, we must avoid that. And the only way to avoid that one is to respect the fact that, yes, these are the limitations of my own responsibility. In which case, you must understand your job description very well. To emphasize the need to relate peacefully with the Nigerian police and other security agencies. So on this note, I wish you well. Please lend your listening ears and make note as much as you can, which will help you beyond this forum. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Once again, a round of applause for the retired Commissioner of Police in Ogun State. You will agree with me that this thoroughbred professional is well read, is a scholar of international repute, and just so you know, he was here as a CP. He knows the terrain. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He has been to different parts of Nigeria, from the PA to the IG to PRO to ọ̀pọ̀rọ̀ kágbọ̀n. Wọ́n ní afẹ́fẹ́ ló ń bá lọ. Wọ́n dẹ̀ tún sọ wípé díẹ̀ là ń sọ fún ọmọlúwàbí tó bá dénú ẹ̀ á dodindi. Bàbá ti bá wa sọ díẹ̀, mo mọ̀ wípé ó ti di ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ odindi nínú wa. Wọ́n ní kò sí àyè fún pé èmi mo jù ọ́ lọ, ìwọ ló jù mí lọ. Èmi ni ọ̀gá àwọn eléyìí, èmi ni ọmọọṣẹ́ àwọn eléyìí. Wọ́n ní kò sí nǹkan tó jọ. Wọ́n ní wípé everybody, gbogbo wa, kí là ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún security ìpínlẹ̀ yìí là ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún. tí ìpínlẹ̀ yìí bá dáa wọ́n ní pé south west ó máa dáa wọ́n ní tí south west bá dáa gbogbo nàìjíríà náà ló máa dáa wọ́n tún sọ wípé bóyá ẹ rí ẹnìkan tí ó ṣe àṣemáṣe ẹ wá mú tí agbára yóò bá ká nǹkan míì tẹ́ lè ṣe ẹ̀kan tẹ àjọ ọlọ́pàá ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn láago gbogbo apparatus tó wà wọ́n máa reinforce ẹ̀ láti support ṣé ìyẹn dà àbí kò dáa ní ọlọ́pàá gan ọlọ́pàá fúnra ẹ̀ ó tún máa kọ ọlọ́pàá mi wá bá mi ṣe léyìí kò sí ẹni tí ó mọ̀ tán láyé yìí ká tó ṣe wá sọ̀rọ̀ security ọlọ́wọ́ fún wọn ṣe. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving forward and I would like to invite the next speaker is AIG. Ṣé àmọ́ pé nǹkan tá a fẹ́ ṣe lénìí tí a bá wò a rí pé a ti fi àkókò sí gbogbo nǹkan fún ìṣẹ́jú bíi wákàtí kan tó dín díẹ̀. We are going to invite another thoroughbred scholar and professional in his field, retired AIG Adeoye Fimion. He is going to talk to us about the functions and operations of the Vigilante Group of Nigeria as a support security organization towards effective community peace. He's also going to talk to us about election duty, quick intervention, and beat management. Baba, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ìsà.
Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Good morning. I'm sure we are enjoying the very good weather.
Yes, sir.
I'm very sure that we know why we are here. Don't we know why we are here? But before I start, let me first of all thank God for the grace that He has given us to be here this morning. It is by the grace of God that we are here this morning. Have you been going? If I may remind you, I'm sure you also know that some people slept yesterday but did not wake up this morning. So we should count ourselves very lucky for this wonderful grace that the Lord has bestowed upon us to see this day. I also want to recognize my brothers and sisters on the top table. Let me say that it is so good to see you again. And so what am I going to be doing this morning? All I want to do is just talk briefly about what security is and what are the current threats that we are facing in Nigeria. In doing that, I'm going to be listing some of those threats that we are facing in Nigeria, and I'm also going to look at what the responsibility of government is in taking in ensuring that there is adequate security. Then I'm going to look at community policing as a strategy to combating I'm going to be looking at community policing. I hope everybody is hearing me.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be looking at community policing as a strategy that has been put in place to combat crime and criminalities in our societies, and go straight to look at what I believe should be the functions of the VGNll. So, let's start by saying that the security environment includes a very wide range of often interrelated threats. You know, some of the threats that we are combating are interrelated. Also, Abi? All right, they are interrelated. So while all threats ultimately impact on individuals. Threats to national security have the capacity to seriously impair the security of the entire country. So the types of response required to deal with or respond to the threats may also differ or interrelated. So the type of response to dealing with some of these threats may be different. It may be different from place to place. It may also be different because of the kind of threats that we are combating. But one thing that is very important and that each and every one of us must bear in mind is that every individual has the duty of ensuring even his own security. So we cannot leave the issue of security absolutely in the hands of government. So, and that is why I say that one very important thing that should constantly live in the consciousness of all is that individuals have a primary role in taking responsibility for their personal safety. Let me give you an example. If you are traveling on the highway, for example, and they say that it is indicated that the speed limit here is 50 kilometers per hour, that is one of the very things that government can do to ensure your safety on the highway. But if you, despite the fact that that warning is there, the highway code is the highway sign is there, and you choose to go on 100 kilometers per hour, whose fault is that? Whose fault? Tell me now. All right. So, and that is why we say that everybody should bear it in mind that he has the responsibility to ensure even his own security. A person may not be protected beyond the way he wants to be protected. So, but when we are talking of security now, every individual, the individual, therefore comes together to find a means of enhancing the security, their security, and the security of their community. And in doing this, they can come together as a group. They may involve the local police, they may involve the state, the nation too, the national government may also be involved. And there are times that even the international community may be involved in helping to solve certain security threats. So what are the threats that we are facing currently in Nigeria? I say that Nigeria, like any other country in the world, faces threats to the national security, to our national security. The country now faces new and complex threats that are unknown to her in the last century. You know, there were certain threats that we are facing now that we did not even hear of in the last century. Is that not so? In the last century, terrorism wasn't a serious threat in Nigeria. Insurgency was not a serious thing in Nigeria. Banditry that we are combating today wasn't a serious threat in Nigeria. So, but now, these are some of the threats that we are combating. So, and the challenges of modern day security are many, as manifested in several forms of security breaches everywhere. Global statistics, for instance, show that breach of security occurs every second and takes its toll on countless persons and teams. What are some of the causes? The yawning gap between the rich and the poor, expanding possibilities of wealth, fame, politics, and even the social environment, travel and technological improvements are creating new opportunities for the criminal underworld. Indeed, besides globalization, everyday friction resulting from interaction in the ever-competitive worlds of business, politics, and religion. Do you agree with me that today, that some criminals are exploiting religion and politics to visit mayhem on the people? Do you agree with me? Yes. All right. What about globalization? Do you know, in those days, they used to say that the world is a village. If I may ask, is the world still a village today? No. Is the world still a village? So if you want to describe the world today, how will you describe the world? All right. Somebody said in our hands. The world is on everybody's palm. Is that not so? As we are here gathered, do you know that we can relay what is happening here can be transmitted to every part of the world. So the world has stopped being a village. The world is now on everybody's palm. So, and main factors may take an advantage of the situations that I've described to commit homicide, kidnapping, burglary, robbery, fraud, and other kinds of crime. There is no place among humankind that is too sacred or ordinary anymore. Do you agree with me? That there is no place among humankind that is too ordinary or too secure, too sacred. You know, today, nobody is inviolable or too protected either. Today, everyone, everything, everywhere may become the target of security threats. Do you agree with me that there is no one that can say it's absolutely protected? Do you remember? You remember what happened to Donald Trump not too long ago? Do you remember? Answer me now. I like talking to my audience. All right. So, will you tell me that Donald Trump was not adequately protected? But despite the kind of protection, the security web built around him, he was violated. So that is why we say that today, no one is inviolable or too protected. Either everyone, everything, everywhere they become what? The target of a security threat. So what are the identified threats that we have in Nigeria? And please listen to these threats that I'm going to mention, because I'm going to be asking you to tell me which of those threats you consider as the most serious. Some of the threats are corruption, unemployment, terrorism, proliferation of firearms, natural disaster, vulnerability of critical infrastructures, cyber attacks, inter and intra-religious conflicts, activities of militant organizations, herdsmen farmers disputes, political thuggery, porosity of Nigeria's borders, cultism, land dispute, chieftaincy dispute, armed robbery, kidnapping, student activities, illegal dealing in drugs. Abel, all these threats that I've listed, which of the threats do you consider as the most serious? No, I'm asking for the one that is considered as the most serious. God bless you, Chairman. The most serious of all the threats that we have in Nigeria is what? Is corruption. No wonder the late President Buhari said, kill corruption or corruption will kill Nigeria. And if I may ask, is corruption not killing Nigeria gradually? Most of these threats, most of these other threats that I mentioned, flow from this problem of corruption. So all of these threats, they pose terrible security challenge to individuals, communities, and the country at large. Often, like I said earlier, they do not exist in isolation from one another. For example, the proliferation of light arms is a problem in itself. But when terrorism is involved, the threat increases. So what is the responsibility of government? We know that the major responsibility of the government is to provide for the security of the citizens, with a view to realizing the yearnings and aspirations that make them to collectively come together to live as one indivisible and indissoluble people. The primary purpose of security is exemplified by the role of proper policing, which essentially are the preservation of peace and the protection of life and property against attacks by criminals and injury by careless and inadvertent offenders. These roles performed by various agencies include the enforcement of a wide variety of federal, state, and local laws, statutes, ordinances, and regulations on all sorts of subjects. A clear and effective approach to security is the ability of the government to continually assure the citizenry of safety and stability. This is imperative to forestall unhealthy agitations that may erode the yearnings and aspirations that initially brought the people together. The government must therefore be able to put in place necessary security arrangements that will guarantee the freedom of the people from the absence of those tendencies which will undermine internal cohesion and the corporate system and its corporate system. Specific and achievable policies aimed at enhancing the country as a place of hope must therefore be ensured. We all know that the major responsibility of government is to do what? Is to ensure the security of the country. Is that not so? All right. And if the government is not able to do it, what is likely to happen? No, there's likely to be a mistrust between the state and the people. So the government must live up even to its responsibility to ensure that, the country is safe for everybody to inhabit. So I'm going to be looking at community policing as a strategy to ensuring the security, to ensuring national security. So the importance of community policing to ensuring the country's internal security cannot be overemphasized. What is my definition of community policing? My own definition of community policing is an adaptation of the popular definition of direct democracy. You know, we all know what the definition of direct democracy is, abi? Don't we know the definition of direct democracy? Direct democracy is defined as government of the people, abi? For the people, by the people. So my own definition of community policing is an adaptation of that definition. So community policing is therefore defined as policing of the people by the people and what? For the people. So the government needs the help. My colleague also emphasized that. The government needs the help and support of all Nigerians to make its approach to security effective. Although we need your help, answer me now. All right. And that is the reason why you are here, why we are here. So it is therefore necessary to reach out to all the communities, why it is pertinent to create an avenue at the local, state and federal level for all religions and ethno-cultural communities to frequently come together, even as we are coming together, to dialogue and jointly fashion out strategies to understand, manage, and improve our security interests. Such avenue in a diverse society as ours, we also provide advice aimed at promoting the protection of public order, mutual respect, and common understanding. So what should be the focus when we are talking of community policing as a strategy? And I've gone ahead to say that in determining the focus of community policing, it is expedient to do a quick recap of the statutory duties of the Nigeria Police as found in Section 4 of the Police Act. An analysis of the functions will reveal that the duties can be categorized into two, preventive and curative. All the duties of the police there can be categorized into what? Preventive and curative. The duties of protection of life and property, prevention of crime, maintenance of law and order, due enforcement of all laws with which they are directly charged are preventive. On the other hand, the duties of apprehension of offenders, investigation, detection, and prosecution are curative in nature. Since it is utopia to talk of an absolutely crime-free society, it is therefore imperative to strengthen the capacity to effectively discharge the curative duties. It should, however, be borne in mind that even those duties that are categorized as curative are secondly intended to also prevent crime. Let me quickly explain. Àwọn iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ọ̀nà méjìlá pín sí the preventive duties and the curative duties. Are you following me? Yes. You know, but the most important aspect of the duty, which one will you consider as the most important? Is it the preventive or the curative? All right. You know, it's like the common idea that say prevention is what? Prevention is better than cure. So it is better to prevent crime than to allow crime to occur. But we know that it is not possible to absolutely prevent crime. Have you seen any society that is absolutely crime-free? Ṣé ti rí ibi kankan tó jẹ́ pé kò sí crime rárá? Ó ti wù kí bẹ́ẹ̀ lórí ìgbúgbẹ́ ẹ̀dùn tó. Alright, so and that is why the curative duties are provided for. You know, and I listed those curative duties. When a crime is committed, it is very, very important that we try as much as possible to arrest. It is very, very important that we try as much as possible to investigate discreetly and prosecute discreetly. Is that clear? So that is the curative aspect of our duties. If you're able to do that, we are also, it also implies that we must have succeeded in preventing further crime. Have you been funny? Because so the manja, as long as that variable, kí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀, ó sì máa jà lọ, àbí? But if you are able to arrest him, investigate him, and prosecute him successfully, what will happen? We must have succeeded in taking him off the street so that he won't be able to visit further mayhem on the people, either temporarily or permanently. Abi? So if you are able to do that, Shomaraya Tijani, no? Check on where curative duty helps toward the preventive duty. Abi be according. Alright. So, and that is why I say here that it is very pertinent to emphasize here that the original concept of policing is about crime prevention. So in the same vein, today, prevention remains the most important aspect of policing. These assertions are premised on the fact that the emotional, socio-economic and practical cause of victimization by crime are unquantifiable and extremely burdensome. Do you agree with me? Why prevention is the most essential aspect? You know, can you cause the trauma that kidnapping, for example, will live on the mind of the relations of the kidnapped victim? If in the course of the crime somebody is killed, can you quantify that life that is lost? Please answer me. Is it possible? All right. So that is why it's very, very essential that our emphasis should be on prevention. Though I've stated clearly that we may not be able to absolutely prevent crime, but we should try as much as possible to ensure that we place everything that is necessary for us to be able to deter people from doing what? From committing crime. So what are therefore the roles of the VGNll in the fight against violent crime? I want to say that I want to categorically state here that the involvement of various vigilante groups in providing security is not new in Nigeria, as they have been involved in the security architecture at the grassroots where the presence of the police is not very prominent. Do you agree with me? Yes, or is it a new thing? All right. And I've gone to buttress it. Let me state here that the traditional Yoruba communities depended mostly on Olodes. Abi? They depended mostly on Olodes for their security. These hunters, they are regarded as special species of men greatly endowed with courage, bravery, and strength. They are also believed to possess some supernatural powers that they often deploy to achieve their mandate of ensuring the security of their communities. Shebo Baro? All right. Abi kò sọ́lọ́ demoni? All right. So it is believed by many that it is these supernatural powers that enable them to go into some of those forests regarded as forbidden for ordinary mortals to traverse, variously referred to as Igoro, Abi Igoro, Igbogbale, Cheboba, Aginju, or Igboberu. It is believed in the traditional Yoruba communities that such forests were homes to several spirits àbí kò ṣe àwọn ẹbọra ló ń gbénú àwọn ogún rẹ̀. All right. It is also believed that the Aginjus are the inhabitants of wild animals, as well as trees and plants that have supernatural powers. Do you have plants in the forest in our Aginju that have supernatural powers? Can you remind me of one? Have you heard of Daiko before? Iroko. I know one that they call Daiko in my place. That if Daiko touches you, you are likely to lose. You may not be able to find your way again. Have you heard of that one before? All right. So, and they say that stories abound. I said that stories abound of some hard to believe encounters. Some altars were said to have had during Bono or Ibeoru. I was informed by Chief Alabi Oguneko, the great Yoruba folklorist, that tí ọdẹ bá di ògbólógbòó àgbà ṣògùn ní dà ṣé òótọ́ ni. This attests to the prowess of hunters. So the activities of the vigilante groups were in the past limited to that traditional law enforcement methods. However, with the great sophistication of crime, the various groups have become more organized. Are you not better organized now? They have become more organized, better coordinated, and have now become more active, collaborating with the police and other state actors in the very important task of ensuring the security of law-abiding citizens and foreigners resident in the country. And I say that it is gratifying to know that your involvement has immensely contributed to many of the successes recorded by the police and other security agencies in the fight against all sorts of crimes and criminality. So it can therefore be safely asserted that the involvement of the VGNll has bridged the gap between the police and the grassroots population in tackling criminal activities. I think my friend Kompolajoku also emphasized this. Is that not so? So your involvement has bridged the gap between the police and the grassroots population, where the police presence is not very. Vigilante groups have also demonstrated commendable bravery and strength. Are you not demonstrating bravery and strength? Ogójú kọ́ ni yín ni, ṣé kó kojú ni yín àbí? All right. Ogójú ọdẹ nínú kọ́rọ́ mọ́lẹ̀. All right. So, as it was in the traditional Yoruba communities, the vigilante groups, you are still needed today to deploy your bravery, your courage and strength in support of the police. I want you to know that though, in support of who? In support of the police. In support of the police for the security of your respective communities. This can be done through joint patrol with the police. Do you do joint patrol with the police? All right. So this can be done through joint patrol with the police as a means of reducing the opportunities to commit crime and increasing the probability of being caught. Members of the VGNll seem to have a good mastery of the terrain and people of the communities where they are domiciled. Am I lying? Is that not the truth? I think you have a better mastery, a good understanding of the terrain, don't you? And I think you have a good understanding even of the people. You know the people in your community, don't you? All right. So members of the VGNll seem to have a good mastery of the terrain and people of the communities where they are domiciled. This knowledge places you in a very good position to offer needed support to the police in their effort to rid our forest of the criminal elements who are exploiting the ungoverned nature of the forest to turn them to their safe havens from where they plant and launch attacks on innocent citizens. Ṣé àwọn pé tẹ́lẹ̀ kò sí dọ̀gbọ̀n tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ láti inú igbó àbí? Tẹ́lẹ̀ tá a bá wọlé ṣé gbogbo la máa wọlé lọ ni? But sí ṣé àwọn olè kidnappers sọ pé kòrò mọ́? All right. So that is why your support is needed. And I say that every strange movement of human beings observed should be promptly pass to the police. Members of the VGN can be and are actually engaged as static guards for the protection of some facilities and critical infrastructures. Are they not employing you as guards, static guards? All right. So it is an established fact that there cannot be enough policemen. It is not possible. Even if you had, all right. So you are seriously needed. So members of the VGN can therefore be employed to perform the duty of providing static security. Your presence at such facilities has the tendency of deterring would-be criminals. And it is, however, important that aged members should not be employed for such duty. And if our arúgbó ṣe irú iṣẹ́ yẹn o, àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ ni? All right. Why? Because I say it's important that aged members should not be employed for such duty, as the agility must have greatly waned with age. VGN members, like any other citizens, can also assist in effecting arrest of any person suspected to have committed an offence or about to commit an offence. Kompo Ajogun addressing. It is, however, pertinent to reiterate here that any such person arrested must be immediately handed over to the police. It is also important, let me make it clear here, it is also important to emphasize here that members of the non-state actors, you do not possess the power to detain and you do not possess the power to investigate. I hope that is clear. Is that clear? All right. So that power is an exclusive preserve of the police and other law enforcement agencies. Consequently, you should resist the temptation of arrogating such power to yourself. It is, however, expedient that you also make yourself available to volunteer any information that will help the police in their investigation and possible prosecution. So it is not enough for you to just hand over the suspect. You should also support the police by volunteering that will help their investigation. Is that clear? And possible prosecution. Because if you just hand over and the police do not have enough evidence to prosecute, what is going to happen? By the time the fellow is charged to court, what will the court do? Will they not release him? All right. So by the time it's released, the tendency is for you to go about saying, ọlọ́pàá ti gbowó lọ́wọ́ wọn ti filẹ̀. No. So please, whatever that you are supposed to do to ensure the successful investigation and prosecution of the case, please do not hesitate to do. All right. The importance of intelligence to combating insecurity cannot be overemphasized. Consequently, contemporary policing is largely intelligence-led. The VGN is a veritable source of human intelligence. Considering the fact that intelligence gathering is a systematic collection of information to prevent and address security threats, it is therefore imperative that members of the VGN be properly schooled in the art of gathering, security, and dissemination of intelligence. For example, whatever information that comes to their knowledge must be shared strictly on the basis of need to know. You know, that's what we call security of intelligence. If any information comes to your knowledge, you don't start àbí ẹni tẹ́ ẹ bá ní láti sọ fún ẹni tẹ́ ẹ ní láti sọ fún nìkan lè láti sọ fún. Do you understand? Because some people will go about telling people about the information that has come to their knowledge before they go to the police. By the time they go to the police and the information is asked somewhere else, wọ́n ní àwọn ọlọ́pàá yìí wọ́n ti gbẹ̀bọn àbí wọ́n ti gbẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀bọn àbí? No. Please learn how to secure whatever information that comes to your knowledge by keeping it to yourself and by sharing it strictly on the basis of need to know. And let me say here that because of the violent nature of the crime and criminality is being combated in contemporary security space, It may be impossible for members of the VGN to act in support of the police without the deployment of certain level of force. Is that not so? I think some of you can bear arms. Abi? Some of you bear arms. All right. So what is use of force? You know, I've said that because of the nature of crime that we are combating, you may need to deploy a certain level of force. Àbí tó lè bá ń jansin tó gbé mọ̀dání ṣé bá fẹ́ ṣé pàdé ẹ̀ all right ó dàbí pé àwọn kan mi wà tá ilé fi pàdé ẹ̀ sájà fi sọ̀ mọ́lẹ̀ all right so but we must know what force is that clear? What is force? Force is defined as the threat to use physical means the threat or the use physical means to do what? To achieve an authorized objective. There are two types of force. We have unarmed force and we have armed force. Is that clear? What is unarmed force? Unarmed force is the use of force without the employment of any law enforcement equipment. So when you are talking of armed force, you are talking of the force that you deploy just by the use of your physical attributes. If I ask you now, from my definition, if I ask you to give me an example of an armed force, what would be your example? Ṣé ìpèsè kan ní mo sọ sá? What you define only when you may need to deploy force in support of the police. Do you understand? And what is force? As well, force is the use or the threat to use physical means to achieve an authorized objective. And that there are two types of force, armed and unarmed. An unarmed force is the use of force short of what? Armed force. So, if I ask now, that you give me an example of armed force, what will be your example? Here go. You say? What? Magical means? Diabolical. All right. The unarmed force that I'm talking of is the use of your attributes. Is that clear? You know of what they call taekwondo, abi? Karate, abi? Judo. You know? The moment you apply that, you are using force. If I want to arrest Joe now, and Joe is proving stubborn and is armed, if I decide to hit him in such a way that I'll be able to subdue him, what have I done? I've used force. So, is that clear? That is unarmed. Is that clear? Because it is just my hand. Is that clear? And that is why we say that force is the use or the threat to use physical means to achieve what? An authorized objective. So, armed force is the deployment or employment of any type of law enforcement equipment to achieve what? Your authorized objective. So the moment tẹ́ bá gbé kóńdó ó ti di what? Ẹ dá mi lóhùn. Tẹ́ bá gbé kóńdó ó ti di armed. Kámọ̀tẹ̀ wá ti sọ̀kan. You understand? And we say that force is not just the use, it is also the threat to use. Mo fẹ́ arrest èèyàn sí mo ní kó kú sọ̀bọ̀ mo dẹ̀ níbọn lọ mo kàn fà bọ́ mo ní stop there ṣé o pé mi tí yìnbọn yẹn mo tẹ̀ ẹ́ má kọ àbí? But what have I done? I have threatened to use what? So that one is also regarded as force, and that one is what? Is armed force. But one thing that you have to bear in mind is that whatever force that is deployed is for the purpose of achieving an authorized objective. Is that clear? And I've listed some of the functions of the police, and the authorized objective must never be different from what you have in section 4 of the Nigeria of the police regulation, police act and regulation. Tẹ́ bá fẹ́ lo force is either bóyá ẹ fẹ́ arrest àbí ẹ fẹ́ prevent crime. She understand? Àbí èèyàn kan ti commit offence ó fẹ́ escape. She understand? Àbí ó fẹ́ commit ó fẹ́ ṣe èèyàn kan léṣe. So you don't just deploy force except for the purpose of what is stated in section 4. So, and that is why I say that members of the VGN, just as we are doing now, must therefore be schooled on the permissible circumstances for the use of force. There are circumstances tó jẹ́ pé ẹ̀fìn lè lo force tẹ́ ẹ̀fìn ní rúfin, because the arrester, if you don't know how to use force, the arrester may become the arrested. Ṣé ẹ mọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀? I hope you know that there are very many police officers who are in jail today because of the way they deploy force. Àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ ni? And don't think that it is only when you are using armed force that you can run foul of the law. Ṣé ẹ pẹ́ ẹni fẹ̀ṣẹ̀ pààyàn? Àbí? All right. So you must also ensure that in order members of the VGN must therefore be schooled on the permissible circumstances for the use of force. You must also ensure that in order not to act contrary to the principle of proportionality, the level of force deployed must always be commensurate to the level of threats being enthroned. Téèyàn kan tó bá lẹ pure water mọ́ yín tẹ́ ẹ fi ìbọn lé ṣé yẹn ó bára mú? Ṣé you understand? That is what I'm saying. You must ensure that you don't deploy any force that is greater than the threat that you are combating. And this is to say the force, and when you are deploying force, it must not be deployed too early or too lately. Wọ́n pè yín ká wá support ọlọ́pàá, àwọn ọmọ gbé placard dání, nígbà awùnógò bí òwúnógò bí placard kan náà gbé dání o, ẹ̀yin débẹ̀ ẹ̀dá bọ̀ bò wọ́n, ṣé ẹ mórí gbígbé dání? Alright, so you don't deploy force, you don't deploy it too early and you don't deploy it too lately. The highest level of force that can be deployed by the police is firearm. Kí là ń pè ní firearm? Firearm is defined as any device which projects either single or multiple projectiles at a high velocity towards a controlled explosion. Ṣé ẹ gbọ́ definition yẹn? I say firearm is a device which projects either single or multiple projectiles at a high velocity through a controlled explosion. So ìbọn tẹ́ ẹ gbé dání yẹn firearm ni o ṣe ti gbọ́. But something that is important which you must bear in mind there is no firearm that can operate on its own. Abẹ́ ti rí ìbọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀. Even as sophisticated as some of the equipment that we have today, they still need somebody to manipulate them. Is that not so? Ṣé drone lè fò lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀? All right. So the human factor cannot be overemphasized. So, but a very salient part about firearm is that it is a lethal weapon. Ṣé ẹ pé ìbọn lè pààyàn kíákíá? Àbí? All right. So it therefore implies that the muzzle loading gun formed by many VGN members falls within the definition of firearms. One of the major safety precautions in weapon handling is that no untrained person should be granted access to any firearm. Abẹ́ni tí wọ́n ti kọ́ wọ́n ṣe yìnbọn gbọdọ̀ máa yìnbọn gbọdọ̀ gbé bọ̀. All right. You know, because an untrained bearer of firearm is not only a threat to other members of the community, is it not also a threat to himself? Tí ìdáhùn tó bìbọn para wọn rí. Kò ń ṣe pé bóyá ó mọ̀ àbí? But torí pé he was not properly schooled in the art of bearing firearm. So, and that's why I said that it is imperative to inform every participant here that firearm of any type can only be borne by someone who has undergone the current and proper training on the use of the particular law enforcement equipment. It is therefore important that any member of the VGN who bears firearm must be a person that has undergone the necessary training that will make him proficient on the use of the firearm. police officers and those acting in their support are permitted to deploy force for the purpose of gaining control. Abi, why do we deploy force? Is it not for the purpose of gaining control? All right. So control is that therefore of authority the officer must exert over the offender to take him or her safely into custody. Control can also be defined as the ability to direct, with or without voluntary compliance. It should, however, be noted that control is a two-way traffic. An officer must be in complete self-control to be able to control an offender. If you don't have self-control, will you be able to control any other person? All right. So self-control is therefore regarded as one of the greatest weapons in dealing with an offender. However, let me tell you that the best option available to any law enforcement officer and those acting in their support is to gain the willing cooperation of the citizen. Try and gain their willing cooperation. It is not every time that you begin to use force. So it is only when you cannot get their willing cooperation that you will resort to measured use of force that is permissible. And it is also incumbent on whosoever is deploying force to ensure that such force is justifiable. What are those things that possess the capacity to make one to lose his self-control? I have to ask this question. Self-control is very important, Abi? So what are some of those things that can make people to easily lose their self-control? Can you tell me? Yes? Anger. All right, so you must not be a temperamental person. Yes? What? Drink, alcohol. And unfortunately, there are too many of them today. Àbí? Kí làwọn orúkọ amúrin, stagger, loud. So anyone who is found in the habit of using any of those things must not be allowed access to firearms. So, Abi, ṣe gbọ́ o, ẹ̀yin commander especially, ẹ bá rọmọ yín kankan tó mu loud, tẹ wá lọ fún níbọn, ó máa dájú pọ́nlẹ̀ o. All right. So every bearer of any type of firearm must also be mindful of the following safety rules. You must always treat all firearms as though they were loaded. I hope you are listening to me. Because if you make any mistake, the police will arrest you, then you start àwọn ọlọ́pàá yìí tá a tẹ̀ ń ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìwà òdà. Àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́? All right. So safety rules. You firearms as though they were loaded. Never point a firearm at anyone unless you are ready and willing to shoot that person. But you never point a firearm at anyone. Yorùbá sọ pé ìbọn lápátì ìbọn lápátì. Má dojú ìbọn kọ mí. All right. Always keep your finger off trigger and place outside of trigger guard until on target and ready to shoot. Be sure of your target. No one taking any substance that will impair his or her ability to correctly respond to audible or visual command shall be issued with what? Firearms. Is that clear? All right. So let me conclude. As good as the support being rendered by the VGNll to the police is, we must not be unmindful of the possible difficulty involved in holding them accountable for their misconduct and the probability of their involvement in human rights violation. Have you not found some of your men involved in human rights violation? Answer me now. Okay, if you fail to answer me, one incident that readily comes to mind is the alleged gruesome murder of a group of hunters by some vigilante members in Uromi, Edo State, on the 27th of March 2025. Are you aware of that case? And don't forget that I said earlier that you do not take the laws into your hands. You are acting in support of the police. Is that clear? So don't be tempted to abrogate, to assume the powers of the police. Whenever you make any arrest, the next thing to do is to take them to the police. Is that it? If those guys in Europe, if they had done the necessary, there wouldn't have been that insinuation. Is that clear? All right. It is of great importance to all vocally state at this junction that whatever role being played by the VGN is in support of the police and other law enforcement agencies to achieving the authorized objective of ensuring adequate security of life and property of all abiding citizens, of law-abiding citizens. They should therefore not attempt to take over those statutory duties. It is not your business to take over those duties. You are supporting them. Is that clear? It is also important for them to know that the Nigerian police they are called upon to assist is a creation of law. The police is a creation of law. Is that clear? And all the actions and activities of the police are regulated by law. Is that clear? So that is to say, those of you acting in support of the police must also ensure that your actions and activities are strictly in accordance with the law. Is that clear? The thing that controls the police is the law. That is why some of us are always against some people who will tell you that we don't have control over the police. Do you understand? They should actually not have control over the police. What should have control over the police is the law. Is that clear? Because the police is a creation of law. And all the actions and activities of the police are regulated by law. That is why they are called law enforcement officers. So if they do anything that is contrary to the law, they are also liable to be dealt with accordingly. Is that clear? So don't violate the law. The law has specifically stated how to go about all that we do as police officers. The law has stated who can be arrested, who can be arrested with warrant, who can be arrested without warrant. Do you understand? How to go about investigation, how to go about gathering evidence. Who are the people that can be charged to court? Is that clear? And it is incumbent on the police to ensure that everything that they do is strictly in accordance with the law. So if you are acting in support of the police, you must also act strictly in accordance with the law. So the sum total, and I want you to hear this, the sum total of all the statutory duties of the police is the promotion of human rights. Do you agree with me? Everything, one single job that the police has is what? Is to protect and promote human rights. You know, we say that the police are enforcers of law. Abi? Why are laws made? Why do we make laws? We make laws to regulate the conduct of men. Is that not so? Why? But if you make laws without anybody enforcing the law, it's as good as not making the law. Is that clear? Why do we make law? So that the rights of the people will not be violated. Is that clear? When we are talking of the duty of the police, the duty of prevention of crime, why do we prevent crime? We prevent crime so that the rights of the police is the protection of human rights. So we want you to bear this in mind too, that when you are acting in support of the police, you are helping to ensure that the rights of the people are not what? Are not violated. So what will happen if those who are charged with the responsibility of protecting the rights are the same people violating the rights? How would they feel? Answer me now. Will they feel good? All right. So that is why you must never be found among those who are violating the rights of the people. You know, if àwọn tá à ń lọ ké bá pé kán jọ kán gbà wá tó bá táwọn náà ló wá ń violate right wa kó la fẹ́ ké gbàjarì lọ. All right. So, and that is why we say that the police are the chief protectors of what? The protectors of right. All right. So, in order to ensure effective participation of the VGN in the security architecture of the state, it is pertinent to provide a veritable platform for collaboration between the police and the VGN. This is my advice, PPRO. This is my advice to the police command. I repeat, in order to ensure effective participation of the VGN in the security architecture of the state, it is pertinent to provide a veritable platform for collaboration between the police and the VGN. And I've gone ahead to say that such platform will serve the purposes of ensuring proper organization of VGN members and other participants in community policing. It will serve the purpose of sharing of intelligence, serve the purpose of provision of information on existing and anticipated threats, and it will also serve the purpose of training, just as we are having now, and it will also serve the purpose of joint assessment and review of placed anti-crime tactics. However, of the strong opinion that the formation of the Nigerian police that is best suitable for the platform is the divisional police headquarters. This is because they are the closest to the people and they are the ones that are most actively engaged in actual routine policing. There is therefore the urgent need to intentionally raise the status of the divisional police headquarters by providing adequate personnel and appropriate law enforcement equipment to the level necessary to effectively discharge their statutory duties. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Ẹ jẹ́ ká pàtẹ́wọ́ tó rinlẹ̀ fún bàbá wa AIG Fimion Adeoye, retired Assistant Inspector General of Police. Àwọn lo 40 ọdún ó dín márùn-ún nínú iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá, 35 years. Ìyẹn nílò láti sọ fún wa wípé bàbá mọ ọ̀kan tí wọ́n ń sọ. Bàbá ní ọmọ àpàdé àlùdé ọlọ́pàá, bàbá wa ní kẹ́ wá bí. Àti pé látìgbà tí wọ́n ti rìtáyà, nǹkan tó ń ṣe náà lélẹ́yìí. Bí almost 5 years tó ti rìtáyà báyìí. Bàbá ṣé mo parọ́ sà? Nǹkan tó ń ṣe náà lélẹ́yìí kán wá báwọn èèyàn sọ̀rọ̀ kán ṣe láti jẹ́ kí ètò ààbò kó túbọ̀ gbópọn ní ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Mo mọ̀ pé gbogbo wa láti gbọ́ nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ, ṣùgbọ́n ṣá ó wù mí láti jẹ́ ká mọ̀ pé bàbá ní aṣọ tá a wọ̀ yìí aṣọ ètò aláàbò náà ni bọ̀dá a lè gbaṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ṣe. Ọlọ́pàá oníṣẹ́ tiẹ̀, VGN òun náà níṣẹ́ tiẹ̀, ṣùgbọ́n ṣá iṣẹ́ ó wọnú ara wọn ni. Everybody needs somebody. Bàbá ní pé àwọn àdójúkọ kan wà tó máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nígbà tí a bá ń ṣe àwọn iṣẹ́ wa láti ṣe ààbò ìlú. Wọ́n tẹ̀tún sọ kankan wípé 21st century ìkan wà kan sọ tó ó pa mí lẹ́rìn ibẹ̀ tó ó nípọn púpọ̀ láyà mi. Wọ́n ní pé tí ẹnìkan bá mú ìbọn báyìí tí wọ́n dẹ̀ mú ẹ̀ṣẹ́ pàdé ẹ̀ ṣé ìbọn àti ẹ̀ṣẹ́ ṣé ó jọra wọn? Àwọn dẹ̀ ní pé ayé tìlú jára báyìí àti VGN o àti ọlọ́pàá pàápàá èmi tí VGN wà lánàá kọ́ ló wà lẹ́nìí. Ayé tìlú jára wọ́n ní ayé ò tẹ̀ wá sí ní global village mọ́ àtẹ́lẹwọ́ báyìí ni. Tí a bá fẹ́ mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Iraq bàjẹ́ ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí orí fóònù àti máa mọ̀ kí ló dé tà lè lo fóònù náà láti ẹ̀bọ́ ara wa. Bàbá ní pé ètò ààbò ará ìlú wọn náà wọ́n fi wé community policing wọn náà wọ́n fi wé bíi democracy tí gbogbo wa máa ń jẹ lẹ́nu. Democracy a máa ní the people by the people and for the people. Wọ́n ní community policing àwọn lè àwọn lè define ẹ̀ wípé ètò ààbò ará ìlú fún ará ìlú àti ní ọwọ́ ará ìlú. wọ́n tún wá sọ wọn gbọ́n wọ́n ní àwọn olóyìnbó bá ní prevention is better than cure. Gbogbo dídènà àti gbígbógun ti ìwà burúkú nílẹ̀ wa dídènà ó dáa ju kí a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa gbógun tì lọ. wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa nǹkan tí à ń ṣe náà gbogbo ètò wa bíi VGN wọ́n ní àsúnmọ́ àwọn aráàlú ju ọlọ́pàá lọ. ó dàbí ká sọ nípa àwọn kábíyèsí àwọn baálẹ̀ wọ́n mọ̀ àwọn tó wà nínú ìlú ibù ju ọlọ́pàá lọ. wọ́n ní ká lo àǹfààní tí a ní yìí láti ran ọlọ́pàá lọ́wọ́ láti ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú ọlọ́pàá nítorí pé ibi tí ojú ọlọ́pàá ò tó ojú VGN tó. kí ló wá dé tí a lè lo ojú náà bó ti yẹ ká lò ó ti lè yẹ pé wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ gbọ́ngàn wọ́n ní ẹni tó máa ṣiṣẹ́ VGN kò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ẹni tó di 85. wọ́n ní ẹni tí ó máa ṣiṣẹ́ VGN kò yẹ kó jẹ́ ẹni tó ṣe 85. bàbá AIG sà retired kó tẹ̀ ní ẹnìkan bàbá bíi 91 náà ṣe ní ìjẹta. wọ́n mọ̀ pé mò ń bọ̀ nílé ni wọ́n ní kí n bèrè pé wọ́n lè roll sí 91 bàbá sì ṣe ṣé wọn bàbá ń rìn dáadáa o bàbá náà lè ṣe wo nǹkan tọ́wọ́ pa àwọn náà lè dáwọ́ so bàbá sọ ọ̀rọ̀ tó pọ̀ mo mọ̀ pé gbogbo wa ni ibi tí ó sọ dé àti ibi tí ó kù sí gbogbo wa ni ó ti yé wa bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Ní báyìí, I would like to introduce very specially and just while the introduction was going on, a very distinguished personality, a thoroughbred professional, a retired policeman. He did not just retire as a policeman, he retired as an assistant inspector general of police. If your hands are not too busy, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Sikiru Bankole retired. Bàbá náà ti ṣe CP Ogun State rí o. Báyìí tí bàbá kúrò bí bàbá lọ di AIG ni. Èmi náà nígbà kan tí mo di CP. CP pọ̀ ṣé mo àwọn tó ń ṣe printing a máa ní computer to plate ni mo sọ. Wá lọ rò pé mi ò mọ ìbọn gbé ṣùgbọ́n mo mọ̀ bó ṣe ń fún ọlọ́pàá ní information. So wọ́n ní pé support everybody is very needed. Àjọṣepọ̀ tó dánmọ́rán ó gbọ́dọ̀ wà láàrin VGN àti ọlọ́pàá. Kó tó di pé ẹni tí ó máa bá a sọ̀rọ̀ ta ló ní ìbéèrè kan tàbí èmi we need to take comments or most importantly questions from the audience, 1 or 2 for the facilitator. 1. Ẹ máa bọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ 1, 2. Ó ti pé méjì. Wọ́n ní méjì yẹn náà ló wà. Ó yẹ máa bọ̀ sà. Ẹ máa bọ̀ sà.
Good morning, sirs. My name is Maritala Ayodele from Lagos State. Sir, actually, the last words that they asked now concerning the old man, sir. I believe at the end of the day, no matter how we start this,
yes.
No matter how we start this job, sir, it has something to do about the ages, sir. And at the end of the day, I believe no matter what, some old age cannot even serve anything like 35 years. But sir, which advice can you give us? Because we have at the age of, let's say, let me say at the end of the day, maybe something around 45 50, 60, 65 above maximum. At least, sir, please, what can you advise us to do? Maybe we have been going to be on retirement, and when are we going to be on retirement of this job? So we like to know, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So,
That's the second one.
VGN, zero to crime, all protocols duly observed. My name is Shandam Mike Hangio, Assistant Commander, Vigilante Group of Nigeria. Sir, it is a privilege and honor to ask you these questions directly, sir.
Hello.
I have two questions to ask. One is concerning the duty of Vigilante Group of Nigeria as the local and grassroots security. In your lecture you deliver, sir, you said our primary duty is to support Nigeria police with information and hand over criminals to the police immediately. You repeated that word at least 4 times. Immediately. Now I have a question. There is a case in my community at night when the kidnappers came and go away with some people, and the Vigilante Group of Nigeria will mobilize and enter bush immediately that night. After 3 days of operation, and we successfully rescue the kidnapped victims and also arrest 4 of the kidnappers. They were handed over to Nigeria police. And after some time, when the case go to the courts, they were calling us, come and tell us how you arrest the kidnappers. Number 1, the victims are the evidence and the witnesses. And also the things we recover from the kidnappers, they are also evidences. And also, sir, the kidnappers themselves, that is the suspect themselves, they were in the court. When the court were calling us every day, come and tell us how you arrest these people. My question, sir, is, does our job end from handing over to the police or going to the court to tell the court how we arrest them? If the question is yes, you know that in as much as we do the work to protect our communities, we have families living in that place, and the kidnappers also know us in the communities because they cannot do without the informants. That is number 1. Number 2, you said in your lectures that the most security threat in the country that must be handled is corruption. You and I believe that at the grassroots level, it's very easy to control corruption. Is that also? Is that also? If you don't want to answer me, let me tell you. If you steal for answers, let me assure you we go to life imprisonment. Is that also? Now, at the top, sir, somebody will steal billions, if not trillions, and the person will be arrested and will be handed over, taken to the courts. And after 3 days, that same person will be in the community working with us. Is that also? Can the corruption be handled at the top? And that also leads to this question. And also it leads to this question, sir. Is there any synergy between Nigeria police, collaboration between Nigeria police and the judiciary? Because somebody will know very well that this imposition of those things maybe they are arrest for, and you see the judiciary will pick up the person. After 2 days, the person will not even appear in the court. It's only the barrister that will appear in the court. Does this corruption be handled only at the grassroots? What about the top, and what is the measures taken to handle it? Thank you, sir.
I want to assume that is all for the question. So we take the answers.
Thank you. You are not likely to be in a position to handle corruption at the grassroots level. But you are in a position to determine the people that will govern you. How do you agree with me? So when it is time to choose people that will govern you, my advice is that you choose wisely. Exactly. We have all agreed that corruption, if corruption is not killed, corruption will kill Nigeria. Yeah? So, and if you observe any act of corruption, even at your local level, you know that even at the family level, there's corruption. Eh? So, at whatever level you have, my advice is that you don't partake, don't participate in corruption. It is evil. It's killing Nigeria. So that is that about corruption. Then, support for the police. When it is not enough for you to hand over the arrested person to the police. I said it specifically in my presentation, that you must also render necessary support to the police to help their investigation and prosecution. Is that clear? Because, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but okay, my brother here is a lawyer. There are very many technicalities involved in law. Because it must have been reflected in the case that these suspects were arrested and handed over to the police. The court will want to hear from those who made that arrest. That is why I said that you should not just stop at handing over to the police. You should also support the police so that they can diligently successfully carry out their investigation and prosecution. If you don't do that, at the end of the day, those felons will be sent back to the community. And what is the implication? They will continue to visit mayhem on innocent people. So whatever support that you need to render to the police, for them to be able to prosecute their cases successfully, please do not hesitate to render. Is that clear? Yes. All right. At age, I cannot determine the age, but you know those who are physically fit for certain duties. Is that not so? If you are deploying your members on static gas, for example, will you deploy a 70-75-year-old person? If the robber, and you can imagine, those people who are going about committing robbery, how agile are they? Very young, energetic boys. Exactly. Can a 70 years, 25-year-old man pursue an 18-year-old boy? Except you have some other means where 10 people left. Abi? I hope I'm answering the question.
Sorry, I want to throw more light on the legal question. We need to understand some things. Like Oga has said, you have the power to control corruption at the top. Because the man you said stole money. The law has processes. Even if I catch you red-handed, the law still presumes you innocent. It is me. It is my duty, my responsibility to come to court now and explain to court. Mind you, the judge is supposed to be an arbiter. Even if the judge was there when it happens, it is you who said this man stole, who will come to the court, otherwise the man walks away free. It is you who will come to court. Why the police is calling you and the court is calling you? Because you were the one who made these arrests. And the man said, no, I was in the bush, I just went to court free. And then some people came and they just called me and handed me over to the police. And the police said, well, somebody handed them over to us and said they were kidnappers. You that caught them in the act, you need to come state, why do you believe that this man, this one and not this one is the kidnapper? The court need to hear that, because we say it is better for 99 accused persons to go free than for one innocent person to be convicted for a crime he did not commit. And so it is you, your responsibility, your duty to collaborate with the police to say, This is why we said it's a kidnapper. I was there when they came into the community and carried people away, and we chased them to so and so place. So it is that's your evidence now that the court will rely on to say we had the people that arrested them and why they arrested them. They arrested. It is for you now to debunk it, to say no, that's not so. Otherwise, if you do not come, the policeman just acted as an agent who received an alleged. That's why they use the word alleged. Until the court say you are a kidnapper, is an alleged kidnapper. That's why they say he's a suspect. They are suspecting him of committing crime. So until you collaborate, and that's why the AIG talked about there should be no competition. It's collaboration for us to live in a safe society. And then lastly, on the issue of the big man, I started by saying the law has processes. There is a matter we handled. The police said somebody forged another person's signature to withdraw money from an account. And then they said the man was practicing the signature on a newspaper. Their crime, let's say the crime was committed in August 2025. And then they said he was practicing the signature on a newspaper. And they brought newspapers where you could see that somebody was practicing signature. But unfortunately, upon cross-examination, those newspapers were found to be a crime that was committed, let's say, August 2024. And the newspapers are newspapers of February 2025. The court cannot close his eyes to, oh, you said this man practiced his signature. But how come, for a crime he committed in August last year, he used this year's newspaper to practice that signature? So there's a missing link. It is tied to the same thing when you arrest somebody. You are the missing link. And so for when a poor man wants to commit crime, he does not think of sequence. But when a big man wants to commit crime, he will look for how to avoid the law. He knows, you don't know. You go, you don't take the phone. You don't know that the phone has a tracker. The rich man will not take phone. He will take what you can't trace him to. So that's why this training is necessary. But I just get to throw more light. But when it gets to my turn, I will explain further. So that's why it's necessary for this collaboration. Thank you.
Okay.
We, my honorable you see, the reason why I said let me give you some insight instead arrest. Immediately you make an arrest, yes, you take it to the police, but there are certain things you have to do. Are we together? What will you do if you make an arrest? One, you must know the name of the person being arrested, the date of the arrest, the time. Are we clear? The address where you arrested the person. Then, at the last, if there are SPs, you must make sure you report them. If you don't do all this, by the time you get to court, the case will be thrown up. As the lawyer has already said, you know, there are so many technicalities to make sure that the case is up. What is evidence in the case? Some of them will not even ask you. You stand to give evidence in court. So all these things we have to take into cognition before we could. And by the time you make a statement to the police, make sure you write your statement. Are we clear? Yes, you write your statement at the police station. So that anytime you are called upon, you go to the police will bring out his file and you go through your statement. so that we be abreast of what we are going to tell the court. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's something that I forgot to mention. You know, I told you that the police is a creation of God, and that all actions and activities of the police are regulated by what? By law. So, you don't take the law into your hand. Don't make arrests and begin to inflict injury. Don't torture. Is that there? Because at the end of the day, if you do that, because you know there is a law against torture, and the imprisonment, the years of imprisonment is horrible. So do not torture. And you know, somebody called me not too long ago. They arrested somebody in their locality, in their community, and they inflicted so much injury on the person arrested. But now, they said instead of the police to thank them for making that arrest, that the police had to take them in as offender. Can you blame the police for that? All right. No, I said that. Please avoid the situation where the arrester will become the ones they arrested. Don't take the laws into your hand. The police are not permitted to even torture. The law has clearly stated how to go about their investigation. If you do anything that is against the procedure, the police officer should be ready to face the risk. And since you are acting in support of the police, please don't torture at all. And I did tell you that you may be permitted to deploy force, you understand? But what you should bear in mind is that as soon as the threat that you are combating ceases, you must also cease to deploy force. Is that right? You want to make arrest. You have succeeded in making the arrest. Maybe you even have an anchor to restrain the fellow. The person is restrained already. But you know, you may have evidence that this guy committed robbery. Since you are restraining him, can he constitute any threat to you again? So will it be right for you to continue to snap it? So anything that is done after that is considered unjustified. Is that clear? So, though you may deploy force, but the force must be proportional, and the force that is being deployed must cease as soon as the threat that you are combating ceases. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on gradually. Ó ní nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ tí mo kàn fẹ́ summarize ní ọ̀rọ̀ kan. Àwọn obìnrin nílé ọkọ wọ́n máa ní pé wọ́n jókòó ti ẹrù wọn. Tí VGN bá ti ṣe nǹkan tó yẹ kó ṣe, ó yẹ kó jókòó ti ẹrù ẹ̀ ní so that àní máa gbọ́ stories tó tọ́jú àwọn tá a mú wọ́n fi wọ́n lẹ̀. Ẹ jókòó ti ẹrù yìí títí tí ẹ bá fi gba justice.
Òyìnbó ti sọ̀lú dẹ̀rọ̀. Apart from what Daddy said, you even have access to phone, so you can record whatever action you are taking. And today, this thing is even acceptable in court. You can tender them in court. Exactly. All right. So as you are handing over, you can record. As you are making the arrest, you can record. If you have exhibits, you can record. So you have a video record of whatever is recovered.
Ẹlòmíì dẹ̀ lè gbàgbéra bí tó ti ń rìkọ́ọ̀dù kó jẹ́ rìkọ́ọ̀dù ìdẹ̀jú máa máa ṣe tí ò lè ní arrest wọn. Because sometimes ẹlòmíì accident scene tó ẹ kó ẹ̀bẹ̀ ní tọ́kadà gbá fóònù lẹ́lòmíì máa yọ jáde sà. Ìyẹn kọ́ ló ń sọ o. Evidence ni bàbá ń sọ fún wa nílé ni. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite very specially for the next presentation a Nigerian lawyer and is the head of attorney at the Liberals of Shoma Chambers. He serves as the group company secretary for Rhoda Commercial Ventures Limited. He is a public affairs analyst. He has a passion for advocacy. He has a passion for discussions around constitutional matters. He knows the law from front to back.
middle to center. He has close to 30 years experience in law. He has been on radio, he has been on television and at gatherings like this one to educate the public on the rudiments and nitty-gritty of law. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Ogun State Police Public Relations Department, and of course, the two-day seminar we are having today, we have the singular honor to have in our midst for another 3 minutes or thereabout, Dr. Liberos Shoma, who will be talking to us on unlawful detention and respect for suspect rights in the enforcement of fundamental human rights. A round of applause for Dr.
I like the energy. Please permit me, I'm already standing, so I would, I'm permitted to stand on the existing protocol because if I decide to greet everybody here today, I won't end. So I greet everybody, all the same. With the kind permission of my boss here, I greet you all. A few weeks ago, I was here addressing hunters in Ogun State. And today, I am happier to address members of the Nigerian Vigilante group, not just from Ogun State, but from the Southwest zone. Because I see people. I saw some from Oshun, from Lagos, and so I'm very, very happy. And I like this kind of synergies and collaborations. If we take it a notch further, sooner our country will be that same country that we're used to, where you could wake up 4 p.m. or 7 p.m. and say from Lagos, carry your 404 and say, I'm going to Ekiti to eat in your ambushments. But now it's no longer possible. But I will also give kudos to some of you who are doing excellently well for ensuring that our communities are still safe. We agree that some of your members go overboard, like what happened in Edo State. But that's the reason for this collaboration. But I give kudos to all of you who are doing well and writing your names in gold in the sand of time. May your generation increase, and even when you retire, may your name never retire. Amen. So, joint collaboration and intelligence gathering among security agencies in panacea for national security. For me, I don't like big words. So I reduce it to joint collaboration and information gathering and sharing among security agencies in solution to a safe and secured country. And I would start by saying that the law is what governs all of us, not just the police, not just lawyers, not just the civil defense, not just hunters, but everybody. Without law, we won't be here, we won't be seated here, it will be a jungle. It will be the rule of the might. Now who's strong pass? Now go to dictate what they happen. But law regulates. And so here I have to talk about unlawful detention and respect for suspect rights in enforcing fundamental human rights. And what are fundamental human rights? Like Fela said, human right are my property. You can't dash me my property. You are born with those rights. That's why we call them inalienable rights. Now your rights. The moment you are born, you have those rights. Nobody will give them to you. They are yours. And we say vigilante. It sounds big, but what's the word vigilant? To be vigilant, to be watchful, to observe, to pay attention, to be attentive, alertness, to be awake. So, this collaboration, you are like the eye of the police that is alert in those places that they can't get to. So if you understand it from that point of view, you understand the importance of your role as a vigilante. Now, you see governors are emulating this and creating vigilantes for community policing. You have retired policemen, retired army officers, hunters, and security personnel as vigilantes. So it is not just enough for you to see yourself as just one of those persons in the community. You carry a responsibility on your shoulders as the eye. That man who is awake where every other person is sleeping, that man who is attentive. Those days when we were in the university, they said, all of us were vigilantes. Today now your turn to go do vigilante for street. But today, there are people whose responsibility it is now, just like the police, just like the Nigerian army, and other uniform agents, whose responsibility is to provide, to look out when others are sleeping. And that's why I saluted all of you and I said there's a big responsibility. And I say again, may your name not be extinguished even when you retire. Amen. And so, in carrying out this job, this watchful job of a vigilant person, somebody who is attentive, who is like the eagle. Without a drone, he sees everything. He's seated here, his eyes is looking everywhere. You are governed by laws. And the laws that affect the human, that affect you. And what's the essence of even having vigilante? It is to protect laws, to protect societies, because the law has said society must be protected. And so, if you look at these laws are codified in what we call our constitution. We say the constitution is the ground norm, is the law that other laws in the country draw their strength from. The Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, the navy, the vigilante, all of us draw our strength from the constitution. And that's why we say any other law that is inconsistent, any other law where no agree with the constitution talk, that law to the extent of its inconsistency is null and void. And so in chapter 3 of the constitution, it provides for what they call not just human rights, fundamental. These rights are fundamental. Come what may, these rights confessed as a citizen. They are very fundamental to our collective existence, the way we relate to another. And that's why we say, where your rights stop, now there my own begin. You get freedom of movement, but you don't get that freedom. Because you get freedom of movement, nobody say, you're walking into my house. Because you get freedom to own property, nobody say, you go collect my own. So where your own stop, now there my own begin. But so that we don't go too deep, I'll just specifically talk about all these rights are, you go here, these things are not magic. And when lawyer want bamboozle you, go begin to quote numbers, like saying an accountant or codifier. So you have them in section 33 to section 45 of the Constitution. But section 46 is very important. And section 46 says, please permit me, it says, every person who alleges that any of the provision of this chapter is being or is likely to be contravened in any state in relation to him may apply to a court, a high court in that state for redress. So that all your efforts at combating crime will not be in vain, because this section 46 is very powerful. It says if you suspect that your right is about to be violated, go court. Go say, look, the man never do anything, or he has not done anything, but from the way he's going, I'm thinking he will violate my rights. Please grant me an order to restrain him from violating my rights. The court will say order has prayed. Vigilante is hereby restrained from arresting, intimidating, harassing, even coming close to him. And you're like, oh, the court is the problem. The lawyers are the problem. But because sometimes you give away, as a vigilant person, you give away your tactics. The man now don't know, he don't sniff you, don't know, say, this man is about to arrest me. Even though he has committed a crime, you have not even come close. But if you look at section 45, section 45 says nothing in section 33, 38, 39, and 40, and 41 of this constitution shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. So what this means is that even though section 33 to 45 give you fundamental human rights, but section 45 specifically says the government can make law to limit and restrict those rights. That's why the AIG said the law also empower you to use force, reasonable force. And when sometimes, let me quickly digress a little. The AIG also said something which is very germane. Do you know why sometimes you arrest offenders and they get to court, they go free? The force that the AIG was talking about just now, you arrest a man, you said he stole, and you have restrained him using handcuffs, and then you beat him to stupor before you handed him over to the police with marks all over his body. He writes a statement. The moment he gets to court, he's a non-criminal. The moment he gets to court, he will say, lawyer, not be me write that statement. They beat me, they say make I talk, say and me write it. And there is evidence that the man was beaten. And then the court will now go into what we call trial within trial. The court now wants to find out if the man was actually beaten. Because a statement is supposed to be voluntary. I traveled to London at the airport. Feel like see somebody use my name, get visa. They just control me, go one corner. Excuse me, mind if I talk to you for a few minutes, please? And the man started asking me questions. You get a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. He don't let me go, but he's offering me a cup of coffee to relax my mind. So they just tell me the truth, I'll help you. Now lie. It gets to a point you are broken. So what? After interrogation for like 3-4 hours. Wow. Yes. 3-4 hours. Plenty questions. Asked maybe my grandmother. And then they found out that I was not that person. That's where their system is different from ours too. They now gave me a voucher of £500 to apologize to me, so that I will not go to court to say my right was violated. As a Nigerian man, I got the happy say, better they stop me like this so that they'll dash my money. You know, but here, you say, I know them. They don't confess until you torture them now and they confess. You've seen police officers being dismissed for torture or suspects. Some will collect money. So, if you, like the AIG has said, you can video record evidence. It's admissible. And that's why even the law, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, provides that confessional statement you should be video recorded. So that the man tomorrow cannot say, no, they forced me right hand. Say, video is there. The man, nobody touched him. So, if you look at section 35, it says every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty, and no person shall be deprived of such liberty, save in the following cases and in accordance with the procedure permitted by law. In execution of a sentence or an order of court, in respect of a criminal offense of which is being found guilty, by reason of his failure to comply with the order of a court or in order to secure the fulfillment of any obligation imposed upon him. And it spells out conditions under which you can deprive him of his personal liberty. It didn't say when you suspect him to have committed a crime, deprive him of his personal liberty. Because it will now, like I always refer to what the IG said, it will now be that the accuser now becomes the accused. All your efforts will come to naught because of one common mistake. You subjected the suspect to inhuman treatment. And if you look at section 34, section 35, right to personal, no, section 36 now, right to fair hearing. And under this section 36, subsection 5, that's where it says every man is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Mind you, I started by saying the Constitution is the ground law. Every other law draw their strength from the Constitution. So if the man that you have just arrested, the law presumes him innocent. So if you conclude that I caught him, if I catch your hand for the soup, I'll kill you today. If the man dies in your custody, you have committed murder in trying to help the society. The same society where you try help will say, you don't commit murder. And then you know, like, upon all the things I did for this country, one small mistake. And so the essence of this gathering is so that we know where the loopholes are so that we can avoid them. And this right to fair hearing, when somebody is arrested, because he's presumed innocent, he has a right to be heard, his own side of it. In Latin, we call it audiotare pater. You must hear the other side. Just like elders in the village those days, they say they come to report somebody who stole a goat. Even everybody know him to be the thief in the village. They'll say, call him Papa. They said you stole the yellow one's goat. How? What? You? How did you get this goat that he stole? You must hear his own side of the story and give him the opportunity to defend himself. And because like I said, your duty and responsibility is to be the eye of the police in the community. That's why when you arrest, Commander talked about statements. It's very important, very necessary. That is how police works. Somebody was charged for murder. Mohammed Taha, one matter I did at the High Court in Lagos about 18 years ago. That man went free because the IPO who investigated the matter was transferred to Maiduguri. And there was nobody. The documents were in court, like you said, like my brother, like you said, the documents are in court. But somebody brought those documents, and the person, Maiduguri, couldn't come to court to explain what happened and what he investigated. So for lack of diligent prosecution, the court discharged the man, even though they didn't acquit him. He left. where's justice for the person that have died? And so, when we respect each other's right, because like I said, now where your rights stop, now my own begin. And when we obey laws, if I obey law, I will go and steal another man's goods. We will understand there are boundaries. If you obey laws, you won't go and kidnap another person. If you obey law, even though the man you caught him red-handed, you will not subject him to inhuman treatment because you know that his rights begins where you're stopped. That's why we say leave the job to the courts. And now coming to the issue, I would also still digress a little because it's very important. Because here he talked about corruption. And it is very frustrating when you know that as a community leader, as the eye in the community, that the people, there are some people in Abuja, there are some people in Abeokuta who will they pay, who just make millions, and yet no salary they don't pay. And that's why when election comes, the IG said you are the one that will determine whether you can stop the corruption at the top. Are we ready to stop corruption at the top? You see, we never go ready to say because how can we stop that corruption at the top? By voting the right people. By voting those who know that we're not still at the top. You already are the watchful eye at the community. A man who know you arrested him while he was in the community. He was a known thief. And then he left all of a sudden and came back with plenty money. He wants to go to House of Assembly. He's sharing money, your family will collect, everybody will collect. And then you think if he gets to the House of Assembly, he will protect your interest? No. Will he protect your interest? No. So that's the only way we also can collectively fight corruption at the top. Because we also already security at the bottom. Somebody is kidnapped, or people kidnap some persons and they go into the community. And then you mobilize straight up in collaboration with other agencies, you attack them headlong. But at the end of the day, you say, I have handed them over, I'm not going to do anything further. If you don't do anything further, those people will walk away free. And at the same time, a little mistake from you will also make them walk away free. And then you keep seeing them, they go, they come. That's not a rule away. Some persons can draw influence. They say, oh, the bearer is from me. Please. So, basically, I don't want to go into all the other rights like I discussed in section 33, 34, 35 to 45. I talked about section 35, I talked about 36. And section 34 specifically talks about the right to dignity of human person. He said every individual is entitled to respect for the dignity of his person, and accordingly, no person shall be subjected to torture or to inhuman or degrading treatment. No person shall be held in slavery or servitude, and no person shall be required to perform forced or compulsory labor. And it goes on to say, forced or compulsory labor in this section does not include any labor required in consequence of a sentence of a court order. And if you look at the sections, court order by pronouncement of court, and not by pronouncement of police, or by pronouncement of vigilante, or by pronouncement of the army. And remember, I told you, section 46. So if the moment you arrest that person, fair hearing, section 36, section 37, I need to treat him with dignity, even though I got him red-handed. Because there's section 46. I don't want the man to now call and say, these people, they arrested me and they have been beating me. Before you go hand him over to court, to the police, he has run to court to say he's afraid that his right to dignity of his person is about to be violated. So if our tactics has been, the moment you catch a man with a gun, for example, you just conclude that this man is an armed robber, is a kidnapper because I saw him with a gun. There are people who are trained to interrogate that person. Human rights lawyer. Do you know what we do? When they say you're a human rights lawyer, can anybody tell me? What we simply do is to help people activate section 46 of the Constitution. My right is about to be violated. My right has been violated. Look, these people are threatening my life. Please, I need you to help me. You rush to court, you file enforcement of fundamental rights. And you say, these lawyers are the problem. But you too, when you have a similar problem, you will come and say, lawyer, please, how can you help me? Say, don't worry, section 46. I will go to court. That going to court is to ask the court to grant an order to enforce your fundamental rights. Because those rights you were born with them, and like I said, is your property. And like Bella said, I can't dash you your property. And please, help me tell your neighbor, you can't dash me my human rights. Human rights, na my property. Human rights, na my property. It's not loud enough, honestly. Human rights, na my property. So if you believe, say human rights na your property, even your suspects, human rights na your property. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Everyone has a right. You even have a right to come and hold this microphone even as I speak. Where my voice doesn't stop. I was going to repeat what the retired AIG said. Where the voice stops. All right. Are we feeling it? Are we getting something? Do we have things to take home? Not like take away rice. This one pass rice now. It pass rice. Rice go finish. But this one go remain. This one are forever now. For life, Abi. Ẹlòmíì bí o ṣe ń ka Bible àbí o ṣe ń ka Quran náà ni o mọ constitution. Ìgbà tó jẹ́ ọlọ́pàá, àbò jẹ́ agbófinró, àbò jẹ́ aláàbòlú tí wọ́n gan fúnra ẹ̀ ò ka Bible ẹ̀ tó ka Quran ẹ̀. Quran wa Bible wa òun ni constitution ẹ̀. Àwọn section this ṣé wọ́n lè kóòtù ẹ̀? Ṣé o mọ ibi tí right ẹ wà yìí pé lẹ́yìn kan bá gba ẹ létí kò yí tòsí sí? Comments? Let's take one or two. One. Tí a bá ti ilẹ̀kùn yẹn ọkọ̀ ògbàlá ṣí nìyẹn o. One. Níbo ni mí tún wà mẹ́ẹ̀? Question, comment. Okay, in the absence of none, I know that if that person comes out now, someone will not remember, I want to ask something, follow-up question. But let's take this first one and allow the lawyer to respond to it.
VGN, say no to crime. We. My name is CFD Tafik Bank. I only have one question to ask concerning the joint collaboration and intelligence gathering between security agencies. I want to ask maybe, is it only meant for this Ogun State or throughout the Federation? That's my question. Thank you. Did you get that? Okay. A person I first cited, I thought he was raising up his hand. He was there. He wanted to take souvenir. Who's asking question? Maybe that time, don't ask for anything.
Hello, sir. I'm AC Tajudin Odari, the National Board Agent Professor. Please, as VGN that is making use of and have a license for the arm. Unfortunately, he left Lagos for Ilorin and he was arrested by the police and prosecuted. That's why they first the license. Please, what is the implication of that for VGN that has a license and took his arm all alone? Thank you.
I want the lawyer to respond to the questions at once. So, in the absence of no other question, can the microphone find its way to the barrister? What is the difference between a barrister and a lawyer? What is the difference between a barrister and a lawyer? Or lawyer, barrister, solicitor, charge and bail?
A barrister is generally someone who solicits at the bar, not Booker or not the Awenda, in court. And then you have a solicitor who only does drafting. And here we combine both the advocate and the solicitor. The advocate is in England. The advocate is a barrister who goes to court. The solicitor does drafting in the office. And so I will start with the last question. I think my two eminent, qualified, very senior police personnel here would also dwell more on that question. Because I know also there are licenses that are jurisdictional restriction, that have jurisdictional restriction. If your firearm, for example, is licensed in Ogun State, otherwise you'll be committing infraction because that firearm is not to be used in Lagos. And so that alone, the fact that you took that firearm, it might not be, you might not have used it for an offense, but the firearm is licensed in Lagos. But you now took it to Ekiti. The law can say that you have intention to use it. And that's why you took it outside the place where it's licensed to a place where it does not have license. You see how complicated law is. So that's why when you are getting your license also, find out if it's jurisdiction specific. See big musicians abroad go to jail for traffic offense. But here we say, it's not me now, but he has license in Lagos now. They should overlook it. Because where your rights stop for Lagos, now they no begin. And then now the second question, joint collaboration. You see, while I know it is not national for this particular one that they are doing here, but the federal government had made provision for collaboration, inter-security agencies collaboration. These security agencies are not created to be fighting one another. Sometimes fight police or police, for me, it's an irresponsible behavior. They are supposed to be working together for the one purpose. And so if, for example, police has information that will aid the arrest of kidnappers, I see no reason why they shouldn't give it to vigilante. And that's why now that police is creating this platform, let us reason together. It's fantastic. And I also, like I said here last time, I would encourage other states to emulate this kind of collaboration. Thank God, AIG here, when he was the CP in AMS, anytime such collaboration mentioned or discussed, his name will be mentioned conspicuously. It's a collaboration that the platform, the federal government has said, go and collaborate. There should be seen. We only look at government at the center. Crime is local. Solution should be local. So the government at the center is to provide a framework. It is how we respond to it or how we use the framework that is left to us. Ogun State is doing fantastically well, and I will greet my sister, the PPPRO of Ogun State, for this laudable and fantastic initiative. The communication, and I must say this, communication, it is not just to react, it is being proactive also. When you open such channel of communication between sister agencies, between collaborative agencies and the police, it goes a long way in combating crime and protecting the society. So, if I know my brother that asked the question, are you from Ogun State Command or from Oshu or from Lagos State? Fantastic. We will take the message to Lagos. You know, Lagos will only carry last. I can tell you that this thing that is happening here is beautiful. We will take it to Lagos State and ensure that the Lagos State Command, at least to a very large extent, I get small voice. By the time I shout small, government will listen and then do something like this because Ogun is peaceful. Lagos is a hub. Lagos should fantastic. Thank you. In the absence of any other question, I will take myself. And then quickly, one last. And I would want to salute the commander here. And I like. And I just hope that this relationship will continue and this interaction will continue. I see a lot of your commanders from Abuja also, and I'm happy to be here. If I have the time, I will still come and spend time with you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anyway, I wanted to put your hands together again for the lawyer. Do you know why you're clapping? Do you know why you're clapping for him? You know, someone said yes, someone said no. Do you know why you're clapping for him? No. And you are clapping. All right, that's just an enlightened note. That's just an enlightened note. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get another presentation. I'm so sure that this event will go down in history, that Ogun State Police Command, especially the Public Relations Department, organized a program on a day like this one with the VGN, and it transformed the security architecture, it transformed the security space, not just in Ogun State, across the Southwest, which would now dovetail into the country. Well, if your hands are not too busy for that reason, let's pray together for the Ogun State Police Command through the Public Relations Department. Yes, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, officers of the VGN, the stakeholders here present, we want to invite another thoroughbred professional, a trained security operative who has traveled far and wide. This retired but not tired security personnel of international repute was appointed into the Nigerian Police Force as a cadet assistant superintendent of police
in the year 1990. And you have the lawyer who just came around. He told us the solicitor is this, barrister is this. The next speaker has or holds a degree in law and is a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Larry Sikiru Bankole, will be talking to us on positive synergy and intelligence sharing, avoiding interagency rivalry, as well as community policing. A standing ovation for the retired AIG.
Thank you, MC. Are we happy? It's a lovely day. The facilitators, starting with AIG Fimiho Adeoye, retired but certainly not tired. My own brother, Dr. Liberas Ashoman, it's a pleasure having you again.
Okay.
My brother and friend, Commander Sodia, I salute you. The state PPRO of the state command, thank you. Distinguished guests and actual members of the Vigilante Group of Nigeria. We. Thank you. And of course the bands. It gives me a great pleasure to be here this afternoon to address members of the VGNll. I will tell you my personal experience because, like Dr. Thomas said, all these big women, they were not really transferred to anything. I was DP author in the year 2008, where I first came in contact with VGNll. But I was a very volatile division. We had 33 banks in order, 33 bank branches in order. And the division there spans, we covered up to Aton. You know where Aton is? Italy, Ijoko, and so on and so forth. I had 126 or so personnel in the division, including outposts. Tell me, will it have been possible to cover that vast band with 126 men? Well, it's up for you to imagine what we went through. But I discovered that we had a VGNll regularly available to partner with the police. In addition to that, there were other members of society who had not actually enlisted with VGNll, but they were ready to partner with us. I said to myself, if I had this number to the 126 men that I have, that means I have been able to swell the ranks of personnel that I have to work with. I am asked to talk about on the topic positive synergy and intelligence sharing, avoiding interagency rivalry. like the previous speakers have said, all our conduct in society is regulated by law. That means when you wake up in the morning till when you sleep, your life is regulated by law. The same thing with security and those that are serving with security. Let me start with agencies for providing security, because that will interest you to find out whether your organization is one of the agencies serving with providing security. And the primary agency or the primary agent for security in Nigeria is the government. Did you get that? The primary agents responsible for security in Nigeria is the government. And who are the government? Who are the government? So that means issue of security concerns every one of us. However, we have various enactments, we have various laws. For example, you have the Police Acts, you have the Armed Forces Acts, you have the Customs Act, you have the Immigration Act, you have the Adult Correctional Center, you have the NDMA Act, and so on and so forth. These various enactments, these various laws, they are specified what each organization will do in terms of security. For instance, what does the Nigerian Customs do? Somebody wants to answer that? Customs, what do they do? Huh? Okay, they ensure that goods are not smuggled into the country in terms of security. Of course, they have other duties like collecting excise duties and all of those things. What about immigration? To ensure that illegal foreigners do not find their way to the country. NDMA. Nigeria Correctional. So that prisoners that have been kept in their custody do not good. Nigeria Police. Can you clap for yourself? So today we want to look at the multi-agency collaboration between these bodies. It is recognized that no statutory or voluntary body can make a meaningful impact on social problems if it acts in isolation of others. Therefore, the various statutory agencies liaise and work together in conjunction with voluntary organizations in addressing crime and other disturbances to public peace. What that grammar is saying is that these agencies are mentioned. If they decide to go on their own, Customs wants to be on its own, can he effectively do his job? Immigration. So whether we like it or not, there must be this marriage, whether it is marriage of convenience or not. Otherwise, you will fall Jakarta. And in addition, voluntary agencies too have been included in this security architecture. I want to say that as we speak today, your organization will fall within the category of voluntary organization. But I'm aware that there is something in the pipeline to make sure that there is an act of parliament that will make you to be a statutory body, and I'm sure the way you are going in no distant future this is achievable. Are you glad for yourself? Since we are here talking about what you can do for Nigerian police, I will just quickly go over what are the duties of Nigerian police. Prevention and detection of crime, apprehension of offenders, preservation of law and order, protection of life and property, and the enforcement of laws and regulations with which they are charged. And of course, sometimes military duties if they are not. How do you come under the law into this architecture, security architecture? I will tell you, when you look at section 24 of the Nigerian Constitution, and I will read. It makes it mandatory for every citizen to render assistance to appropriate and lawful agencies in the maintenance of law and order. Section 24. If you don't have the constitution behind it, just like that, and that section, and go and look at it. And that is what gives you, that is makes it mandatory for you to act in aid of lawful agencies. In carrying out this duty imposed by the Constitution, the citizen should be security conscious, as well as ensuring his or her personal safety is paramount at all times. I'll take that again. In carrying out this duty imposed by the Constitution, the duty imposed on every one of us, you and I, the citizen should be security conscious, as well as ensuring his or her personal safety is paramount at all times. In this regard, the following can serve as tips. That is, by belonging to a vigilance group, by ensuring that you take part in security awareness programs in your areas, and so on and so forth. Now, let's back to us. How have we now been integrated into the security architecture? We are vigilant group of Nigeria. We have our rules and regulations. Commander Shodia will tell you that while I was at the head of affairs, Commissioner of Police in this state, on a regular basis, we hold interactive sessions with the VGNll, hunters, and all other stakeholders in security of the state, including PCRC. And what was the intention? The intention was to increase the net of security watchers in the state, so that that number will become intimidating to the criminals or would-be criminals. You can imagine if this number here is added to the strength of a division or area command or even the state command as a whole, have we not been able to increase the manpower available to the command? Now, if we have now agreed that the strength we have here is part of the strength of the Nigerian police in the command, where do we now go from there? Because that is the crux of the matter. Can you hear me? Yes, sir. How do we collaborate with other agencies to ensure that adequate security is provided for the citizens? Yes, to ensure that we enhance the security of the state or for the citizenry. And that is why we want to talk about information sharing. I also have a background because I headed the Interpol in Nigeria before my retirement. And what Interpol does is to ensure that information is shared among the countries of the world, especially information pertaining to criminals, criminal gangs, and their activities. So coming down to a national and local level, for us to checkmate the activities of these criminals and the criminal syndicates, it is necessary that we share information. For instance, a smuggler might also be involved in kidnapping. Is it not possible? But if customs is just open to the fact that they know this person as a smuggler and they are not revealing his identity to other groups, you do not know that it's also a kidnapper. The same thing, Nigeria police knows a person to be an habitual armed robber. An armed robber might also want to be a drug peddler. He might also be involved in human trafficking and all of that. But if you give that identity or that information to yourself, it will not be helping other organizations. The same thing with Vigilant Group of Nigeria. When you see something, what do you do? Say something. You see something? Say something. Otherwise. What? I didn't get that. Otherwise, you may be running a risk. Now, I said the law enforcement agencies, including regulatory bodies, shall seek and share information related to perpetrators, co-perpetrators, and accomplices of common law offences. Common law offences are all offences known to law. Stealing, smuggling, human trafficking, drug peddling, kidnapping, piracy, and all of those things. And you know all these laws, they cut across agencies. that have been saddled with the responsibility of going after criminals perpetrating no crime. Items collected in any way to an attempted or active crime. Objects and details required to establish proof of an attempted or actual crime. Arrests and investigations carried out by the respective agencies in respect of crimes committed. You see, when you say, oh, this crime is not within my domain, I don't want to know about it. By the time it gets to you, you discover that it's too late. And when you want to limit yourself to what you do alone, you find out that you are just emboldening the criminals. For instance, when you have a joint where they sell and smoke VGNll, and you are the police in that area, and the law says issue of drugs, the lead agency, and you feel you have to leave it to for VGNll to come and carry out. By the time they finish taking M there, what is the next thing they will do? They do what? They start stealing. Because that is where they will launch their attacks to commit more heinous crime. The same thing, if you know where some smugglers keep their vehicles, and you are now saying it is not part of your business. By the time they start using those vehicles to commit other crimes, it will be too late for you. And that is the essence of working together. That is the essence of being a synergy. Otherwise, I keep saying this, otherwise, if you don't do that, you are only allowing the criminals to be more emboldened. I have seen it happen. And from there, that brings us to the issue of community policing. You are members of the community, isn't it? I have told you that you are also part of the police, isn't it? Whether you like it or not, you are part of the police. Because I told you that as citizens, the law has imposed on you to assist the police in carrying out their duties. Many citizens don't know this. It is not even a voluntary thing. Because if the law says something, that is the law. If the law says you must assist the police, that is the law. But I want to give kudos to you that out of your own position, you decide to take up this responsibility. The police, they carry out their duties, which have direct impact on the citizenry, depend largely on the cooperation of the citizens. The concept of community policing evolved as means of bridging the communication gap between the police and the community itself, encouraging the populace to make use in the policing of their areas, as well as promoting transparency in police activities. It is founded on a public-private participation in maintenance of law and order. The police participate with the public at large in identifying and prioritizing community needs while they work in partnership to devise and implement and quick solutions to problems. The community will actively engage in the policing like yours, neighborhood support networks, and augmenting police patrol activities. It is also to foster an intelligence network that will be used to reduce, minimize, and dislodge criminals or any other undeniable elements and circumstances. I can see that you are still here. All we are saying is that it is established, and I'm training these officers of the community, that Nigeria police and indeed all other law-established agencies cannot ensure 100% safety of the community without the participation of the community. Is that also? That is not the fact. Therefore, the community must take active part in the security of their area. Some of the things they can do is to, which I believe the VGNll has been doing. And it is also expected that within the framework of security architecture, the community to be able to make inputs as to how the community should be policed. My dear listeners, this is where it is important for you to be very close to the community that you serve, to ensure that their security needs are well articulated and adequate, correct strategies should be involved to ensure that there is security in the environment from all over the states as well as outside the states. And whatever you take from here today, we expect that you take it back to your various units for implementation. Is that also? All right. Before I take my seat, I would like to end on this note that the VGNll, the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, has come to stay. In that regard, you should see yourself as partners in progress. Don't have any sense of inferiority complex. As long as you act within the ambits of the law, I have told you the section of the law which makes you part of the security architecture. And previous leaders too have outlined the position of the law in regards to carrying out security duties. For instance, when you hit the police, you arrest, it is for you to hand over a good time. As long as you keep within all of this, within the ambit of the law, you have nothing to fear. And I know, as a matter of fact, that the present commissioner of police in this command is all out to have you as part of security architecture. And that is why you have this kind of engagement. So this is my belief that this confidence that is reposed in you is not misplaced. I wish you all the best. Thank you.